Alligator hunting's hard. Everybody that does it works their butt off.
Famed gator hunter Troy Landry of the show Swamp People has found himself.
It's been more than 25 years since Liz Cavalier first stepped onto the swamps that would define her life and her legacy. In that time, stories about her, both whispered and openly shared, have grown into legend. From the moment she appeared on Swamp People, it became clear Liz was not someone to be taken lightly. Fearless, unyielding, and fiercely protective, she carried herself with a swagger that drew both admiration and caution from those around her. Crew members, fellow hunters, and even seasoned alligator wranglers warned newcomers about crossing her. Ignore those warnings, and the consequences could be as unpredictable as the swamp itself. Liz's presence on reality TV was magnetic. There was a charm in her smile, a confidence in her stance, and an unmistakable aura of authority whenever she held a gun or guided a boat. But behind the allure and charisma lay a woman shaped by the harsh realities of life in Louisiana's marshlands. A woman whose strength and resilience were forged through years of immersion in the unforgiving swamp. Every glance she gave, every movement she made, reflected lessons learned from the waters, the wildlife, and the relentless challenge of survival in the wild. Audiences across the country watched her navigate the treacherous wetlands with precision and grace. Yet while millions saw the confident hunter on television, very few glimpsed the layers beneath. The childhood that introduced her to these murky waters, the countless hours of training with her father, the bonds she formed with the animals, and the sacrifices she made along the way. It was these unseen experiences that defined her, molding a persona both admired and feared. Some of the most compelling stories came from her interactions off-camera. Fellow hunters recall instances where Liz's decisiveness and strategic thinking could turn a failing hunt into a success within moments. She demanded respect not through words alone, but through competence, intuition, and a presence that was impossible to ignore. Those who underestimated her learned quickly that the swamp is an unforgiving teacher, and Liz was one of its most skilled students. In this video, we aim to go beyond the television version of Liz Cavalier. We will explore the origins of her skill, the formative years that shaped her character, and the unique relationship she maintained with one of the most dangerous creatures in the swamp, the alligator. You will discover not only the hunter who captivated millions, but also the woman whose life story is as compelling as the hunts themselves. By the end of this deep dive, you may find yourself asking, did you really know Liz Cavalier? Or was the television version just the surface of a far more intricate and remarkable reality? Every legend has a beginning, and Liz Cavalier's story starts deep in the heart of Louisiana's swamplands, a place where cypress trees rise like ancient sentinels and waters hide creatures both feared and revered. Born on January 21, 1970, in Pierre Park, Louisiana, Elizabeth Cavalier entered a world already steeped in swamp culture. She was the only child of C.J. and Ella Dupree, both seasoned alligator hunters whose lives revolved around the rhythm of the wetlands. From the very first day, the swamp was more than just a backdrop. It was her home, her playground, and eventually the proving ground for her extraordinary skills. Growing up as an only child in a family of hunters meant that Liz had front row access to a world that many only dreamed of experiencing. Her parents were not just hobbyists. They were experts who knew every bend of the rivers, every hidden channel, and every secret resting place of the alligators that lurked beneath the murky waters. To Liz, this was ordinary life, but to outsiders, it was a world few could navigate without years of training. From the beginning, her environment was a masterclass in survival, patience, and respect for nature. Even as a toddler, Liz's life was intertwined with the swamp. She recalls being placed on the family boat, bottle in hand, watching her parents maneuver through the water with practiced ease. The sights, sounds, and smells of the swamp became a part of her very being. The call of the birds, the rustle of the reeds, the sudden splash of something moving beneath the surface. Safety was always a priority. Her father made sure she understood that the swamp was both beautiful and dangerous. Liz was never allowed to approach the alligators too closely as a child, but even from a distance, she began forming an innate understanding of their behavior and presence. Her early years were filled with observation and learning. She watched her parents set bait, track movements, and anticipate animal behavior with a patience that could only come from years of experience. Even before she could take part in actual hunting, she absorbed knowledge like a sponge, internalizing techniques and strategies that would later make her one of the most skilled hunters in Louisiana. The foundation of her expertise was being laid quietly in the shadows of her father's guidance and the vast, untamed swamplands. The true turning point came when Liz was 12. After years of waiting, observing, and learning, her father finally allowed her to join a hunt. This was more than just a milestone. It was a rite of passage, a moment she had anticipated for years. The thrill of tracking her first gator, the careful calculation required to make an accurate shot, and the rush of accomplishing a task she had only watched from the sidelines became a defining memory of her youth. Her skill was immediately apparent. Not only did she display remarkable accuracy, but she also exhibited a calm, focused presence that belied her age, a trait that would become her hallmark in later years. Alongside hunting, Liz formed an unusual but telling bond with a 7-foot-long pet alligator named Charlie Pie. While most children would recoil at such a creature, Liz found companionship and fascination. Caring for Charlie Pie, understanding his movements, and learning to coexist safely with such a powerful animal deepened her connection to the swamp and instilled a sense of respect and confidence that few could rival. It was a relationship that symbolized her fearlessness and her unique approach to life in the wetlands. By the time Liz reached her teenage years, she had already become an adept hunter. The swamp was no longer just a backdrop of her childhood. It was a classroom, a playground, and eventually a stage where her skill, intelligence, and courage would be tested repeatedly. From the earliest moments of watching her parents navigate the waters to her first hands-on experience with gators, Liz Cavalier's humble beginnings were anything but ordinary. They were the foundation for a life that would captivate audiences, challenge conventions, and leave a lasting mark on the world of alligator hunting. From the very beginning, Liz Cavalier's life was inseparable from the swamp. While most children played in yards or parks, Liz's playground was a vast, untamed wilderness of cypress trees, winding waterways, and the constant, lurking presence of alligators. Even as a baby, she was introduced to this environment, placed safely in the boat with her parents, absorbing the sights, sounds, and rhythms of the wetlands. The gentle rocking of the vessel, the splash of water against the hull, and the distant calls of wildlife became the soundtrack of her early life. In this environment, Liz began forming an innate understanding of the swamp, its moods, its dangers, and its hidden lessons. Her father, C.J. Dupree, emphasized safety above all else. Liz may have been immersed in swamp life, but he ensured she never faced the full dangers of it until she was ready. Observing from the sidelines, she learned about patience, timing, and respect. Every movement of the boat, every line of bait set, and every signal from the marsh taught her critical lessons. These early experiences were subtle but powerful. They prepared her not only for hunting, but for navigating the unpredictable challenges of life itself. By the age of 12, Liz had already spent countless hours watching her parents hunt. The day finally came when her father decided it was time for her to participate actively in a hunt. For Liz, this was not just a thrill. It was a long-awaited opportunity. This early immersion was not limited to practical skills alone. Liz also absorbed the culture, the values, and the unwritten rules of swamp life. respect for nature, understanding the behavior of alligators, and knowing how to coexist safely with dangerous wildlife became second nature to her. She learned the delicate balance between courage and caution, realizing that one misstep in the swamp could have serious consequences. This dual understanding, confidence tempered by respect, would define her approach for years to come. Alongside her growing skill in hunting, Liz developed a profound connection with the animals she encountered. Her 7-foot pet alligator, Charlie Pie, became more than just a companion. He was a teacher in his own right. Caring for Charlie Pie, understanding his moods, and navigating the complexities of living alongside such a powerful creature provided lessons that went beyond hunting. Liz learned patience, observation, and empathy, qualities that strengthened both her character and her effectiveness as a hunter. In addition to her bond with wildlife, the swamp itself became a place of adventure, discovery, and resilience. Liz learned to read the signs of the wetlands, the subtle ripples indicating movement beneath the surface, the tracks left by animals on the banks, and the shifting patterns of water currents. Each day spent in the swamp added another layer to her knowledge and skill, shaping her into someone uniquely capable of navigating and mastering one of the most challenging environments on Earth. By the time Liz was in her early teens, she was already regarded as more than just a child learning to hunt. Her exposure to the swamp from infancy had given her insights and instincts that rivaled those of seasoned hunters. It was here, in the quiet, challenging, and sometimes dangerous world of Louisiana's wetlands, that Liz Cavalier honed the foundation of her remarkable talent, a talent that would one day earn her national recognition and make her a household name. As Liz Cavalier moved from her early teens into adolescence, the swamp was no longer just a place of observation. It had become a classroom, a proving ground, and a world where her skills were tested daily. By now, she was not only participating in hunts, but mastering every facet of swamp life. Every detail, from spotting a gator in the murky water to maneuvering the boat through hidden channels, required precision, patience, and intuition, qualities that Liz had been cultivating since infancy. Her formative years in the swamp were intense, immersive, and transformative, shaping both her abilities and her character in profound ways. One of the most defining aspects of these years was her evolving bond with alligators. While many hunters approach these creatures purely as quarry, Liz developed a rare combination of respect, understanding, and fearlessness. Her 7-foot pet alligator, Charlie Pie, was central to this connection. Caring for him was a daily exercise in observation and patience. Liz learned to read his subtle movements, recognize his moods, and anticipate his reactions. This relationship was not just about familiarity. It was about trust, mutual understanding, and a shared rhythm with one of the swamp's most formidable predators. Beyond Charlie Pie, Liz honed her hunting techniques with meticulous dedication. She watched her father's every move during hunts, noting how he set bait, predicted alligator behavior, and timed his shots with precision. She learned the importance of patience, the need to wait for the perfect moment, to understand patterns, and to respect the unpredictability of the swamp. Shooting a gator was not just a test of aim, it was a culmination of knowledge, observation, and instinct, all cultivated over years of hands-on experience. Liz absorbed these lessons quickly, demonstrating an intuitive grasp of techniques that often surpassed even experienced hunters. Her skills extended far beyond shooting. Managing the boat through narrow channels, maneuvering around hidden obstacles, and maintaining calm under pressure were all part of her formative training. Each hunt was an opportunity to refine her coordination, strategy, and situational awareness. The swamp taught harsh lessons, and Liz's repeated exposure to these challenges instilled resilience, adaptability, and an unshakable confidence. Her formative years were about more than practice. They were about transforming exposure into mastery, learning to read both the environment and the creatures within it with an almost uncanny instinct. Alongside skill development, these years were about shaping her identity. Liz was not only becoming a competent hunter, she was becoming someone whose presence commanded respect. Fearlessness was a natural extension of her experience. She had seen firsthand that hesitation or uncertainty could lead to failure, or worse. At the same time, her deep respect for the swamp and its creatures kept her grounded. This balance between courage and caution became a defining feature of her personality, influencing her decisions both on and off the water. Her teenage years also solidified her love for hunting as more than a skill. It was a way of life. Liz began approaching each hunt with a strategic mindset, thinking several steps ahead. She analyzed patterns, anticipated movement, and developed contingency plans for unexpected challenges. This strategic approach, combined with her natural aptitude and years of immersion, allowed her to handle hunts with a level of expertise rare for someone her age. It was during this period that she began to earn recognition among local hunters, her accuracy and composure marking her as a rising talent in the swamp community. By the end of her formative years, Liz Cavalier had transformed from a curious child into a skilled, confident, and respected hunter. Her bond with Charlie Pye, her hands-on training with her father, and her countless hours navigating the swamp had not only honed her abilities but had shaped her worldview. She understood the swamp in a way few ever would, its dangers, its rhythms, and the delicate balance between power and respect. This foundation would later propel her to national recognition, but it was here, in the quiet, demanding, and often unforgiving swamplands of Louisiana, that Liz truly became the hunter she was destined to be. All the years Liz Cavalier spent in the swamps of Louisiana, the early exposure, the long hours observing her parents, and the countless hunts, were preparing her for a moment that would change her life forever. While her reputation among local hunters was already growing, national recognition seemed a distant possibility. That changed in 2011, when the History Channel began searching for a skilled, experienced female alligator hunter for the second season of Swamp People. The producers needed someone who could not only handle the dangers of the swamp with expertise, but also bring charisma, authenticity, and a strong presence to the screen. Liz was the perfect fit. Her path to recognition wasn't instantaneous. The network had strict criteria, seeking a candidate who combined skill, confidence, and on-camera appeal. Liz's reputation as a hunter, her years of experience, and her fearless demeanor made her stand out. Yet it was her poise, determination, and deep understanding of swamp life that truly set her apart. Casting directors recognized that she was more than just a competent hunter. She was a storyteller in her own right, capable of engaging viewers while navigating the challenges of alligator hunting. When Liz first appeared on Swamp People, audiences were captivated. She exuded confidence, moving through the swamps with precision and control that immediately commanded attention. Her early fame came not only from her hunting ability, but from the way she carried herself, calm, self-assured, and completely in her element. The combination of skill, courage, and charisma made her a standout figure, and it wasn't long before viewers were tuning in specifically to watch her hunts, strategies, and interactions with the environment and animals. Behind the scenes, Liz continued to apply the same discipline and focus that had defined her formative years. She meticulously planned hunts, studied gator behavior, and anticipated the unpredictable conditions of the swamp. On camera, these skills translated into seamless performances that were both educational and thrilling for viewers. The public saw her prowess, but those who had worked alongside her understood the years of preparation. By the second season of Swamp People, Liz Cavalier was no longer just a local legend. She had become a nationally recognized hunter and television personality. Her story resonated with viewers because it was genuine. She represented a blend of raw skill, respect for nature, and a lifelong passion for the swamp that few could match. The swamp had shaped her, honed her instincts, and prepared her for this moment. In turn, she brought the swamp to life for millions of viewers, sharing her world with authenticity, excitement, and unwavering courage. Liz's journey to recognition wasn't merely about fame. It was about the culmination of decades of experience, patience, and unwavering commitment to the craft she loved. Every hunt, every lesson learned from her father, every hour spent observing the swamp contributed to the woman who finally stepped into the national spotlight. In this way, her path to recognition was not sudden, but inevitable. A natural progression from years of preparation, determination, and mastery of one of the world's most demanding environments. While millions saw Liz Cavalier's remarkable skill and fearless presence on Swamp People, few understood the deeper truths that shaped her life beyond the camera. The persona that captivated audiences, the confident, unflinching hunter, was only a part of the story. Behind the lens, Liz navigated a world of challenges, expectations, and unseen pressures that tested her in ways the swamp itself never could. Her journey was not merely about fame or skill. It was about resilience, intelligence, and the unwavering principles that guided every decision she made. The swamp had taught her early on that life was unpredictable. One misstep could mean disaster, whether it was a sudden shift in the water, an aggressive alligator, or the demands of a high-pressure hunt. These lessons extended beyond the wilderness and into the world of reality television. Cameras followed every movement, capturing moments that were both dramatic and vulnerable. Liz's ability to remain composed under scrutiny, to make calculated decisions while under pressure, and to maintain authenticity in every action was what set her apart. It was a skill as vital as her marksmanship, one that required intuition, poise, and a deep understanding of both the environment and human nature. Yet the allure of fame brought scrutiny. Not everyone understood her methods, her choices, or her fierce independence. Some questioned her decisions, while others underestimated the depth of her experience and training. For Liz, this was nothing new. She had spent her life in environments where perception and reality often clashed. She knew the importance of staying true to herself, trusting her instincts, and honoring the knowledge she had accumulated over decades. In many ways, her presence on Swamp People was a continuation of the lessons she had learned in the swamp: patience, precision, and respect for the forces she could not control. Behind the public image, there were moments of quiet reflection and personal growth. Liz understood that her journey was not solely about the thrill of the hunt or the attention of viewers. It was about legacy, the transmission of knowledge, the demonstration of skill, and the example she set for others, especially young women looking to enter a world traditionally dominated by men. Her life and career were living proof that dedication, courage, and respect for the craft could overcome barriers and expectations, creating a story that inspired countless others. As we reflect on Liz Cavalier's story, one thing becomes clear: there is more to her than the television persona. Her legacy is a blend of remarkable skill, relentless determination, and a profound understanding of the swamp and its creatures. She transformed her early exposure, formative experiences, and years of disciplined practice into a career that not only captivated audiences, but also redefined what it means to be a skilled hunter in Louisiana's challenging wetlands. Ultimately, Liz Cavalier's journey reminds us that behind every public figure lies a depth of experience, challenges, and untold truths. The swamp shaped her, tested her, and elevated her, but it also mirrored her strength, resilience, and intelligence. Today, when we watch her on screen, we are seeing only part of the story, the tip of a vast, intricate life forged in the cypress-lined waters of Louisiana. For those willing to look deeper, to understand the dedication and courage behind each hunt,